So I was born in Poland and I came here when I was about 3 years old. And so it's funny because I actually don't remember learning English. It's like I just remember knowing it and being in school. And so I love Canada and I love the opportunities that were given to me. And now I was fortunate that I was able to have a lot in my life, and now I'm able to give back. Well, I grew up, I think, normally I went to school. I love school though. I have 3 degrees from the University of Toronto. So I was always, school was my number one. School was my break because my parents worked a lot. So I was always a babysitter. I didn't have what most kids have. I didn't go out as much. So school was like my release. And so that's why I want kids to use school as a tool for empowerment and stress relief as well. As you know, schooling was always important to me, and that's why I think I went into teaching, because it just naturally led me to that way. And I have like all my aunts were teachers, so I think it just naturally fell that way. I just stayed in that educational field because I feel education is so important, especially with what's going on in the world. It really, I think the whole educational structure needs to change everywhere, so that the education will break the ignorance, the arrogance, and just give people a way to just fulfill their life the way they want to. And I think it just starts with education. Like there's a saying that has been since I was young, you can take stuff away from me, but you'll never take what I have in my mind. And that is what I got from education. So I've taught everything from JK up to grade 8. And I've been teaching for over 15 years, but right now I'm teaching in grade 4 or 5. So they're 9, 10-year-olds. And I teach everything, I've taught everything. And the value for me is just, they say reach at least one child, but I want to try to reach as many children in my class. And it's hard, right? Because it's a split class, there are different capabilities. You have ESL, sometimes language is a factor. So you have all these things working against you, but a good teacher can take it all and try to make an impact every day. So a lot of my youth growing up was part of me being in school and just wanting the best education for myself. But I got to the point where the next level was getting a PhD, and I just at that time was like, I have to work. I have to start making money. Maybe I'll pursue my PhD later on in life. But then I got married in my late 20s. We do not have any children. So we did want to have kids, and everything seemed to be normal, but when it wasn't happening, I went to a doctor, they did tests, everything's fine, still wasn't happening. So it was a 10-year journey, actually. It was a lot of heartbreak. We had 4 losses, and so that in itself was very hard emotionally, physically, and so you never expect this to happen to you. Like I never thought I would never have children, or because there's nothing wrong, it just doesn't work, it just doesn't happen, it won't happen. So I just leave it up to God, whatever God's plan is, and hopefully He'll bless me in another way. So I don't really talk about it on social media. If someone approaches me because they know my story, then I will help guide them or tell them my story, because it's such a personal thing and a lot of people suffer in silence. So because it goes into your bedroom, right? And for a lot of people, there's nothing wrong, it won't happen. And so people, unless you know about it, you don't know the difficulties that it imposes on people, because people think, oh, at least you're not dying, or you have some other disease, but this really affects people on a whole other level, because basically the world is saying, no, you can't have a child, right? And I took it as, I'm not good enough, what's wrong with me? And I had to fight through that, right? And that's where I gained my power and my strength, because there's nothing wrong with me. I guess my path is different. It is leading to a different path. Unless you are able to walk in someone else's shoes, you shouldn't judge. But we know people are going to judge anyways, because we have the freedom to do that. But I want everyone to, just take a step. And people don't realize that infertility is such a silent killer, silent emotional killer, that, I was excluded from baby showers or, other things dealing with kids because I didn't have my own kids. Like, there's so many levels to this, and people have to just realize if people aren't saying that they're not having kids because something's going on and they don't want to tell you because it's so personal. For the people who don't understand, just try to walk in someone else's shoes. For for infertility, for any issue, because you don't know, right? You don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. I decided to come back to pageants to give back to myself because I felt less of a woman because I wasn't able to have kids. But now I'm using it and turning into strength to empower others, because I know the defeat of infertility and how hard it can be on a couple, on a woman. But if plan A doesn't work out, you have to have a plan B or C, and that's part of my message, right? Never give up. When one door closes, another one will open. You just have to be there and ready to take it. I remember watching Miss Universe religiously with my mom over the years, and then before my 25th birthday, my appendix burst. So in recovery, I'm like, because I've never been sick, right? So I'm like, midlife crisis, So I'm like, what is one thing I wanted to do? And pageantry came up. So they said, try and Miss Universe Canada. So it was a new organization. So I applied and got in. I won. And there were 10 of us that won Miss Southern Ontario. And then we went on to compete for Miss Universe Canada in 2003. And then I took a break. I focused on my career, my family. And then the infertility issue happened. And I just I needed something for myself. So I'm like, okay, let me, I didn't know there were Mrs. Pageants. So I did some research and I applied and I started my journey in 2015. And I have 3 Canadian titles now in 2020. I think the camaraderie of meeting girls from around the world and just having that sisterhood and just being and seeing and talking to people who are like-minded like yourself, right? Like we pageant girls, we're a different breed. We understand something that others don't, and our goal is all, yes, we dress up and we do all of this appearances and promoting and fundraising, but the end goal is we want to help our world, because ultimately we just want to get the message out, just love each other, do the best for each other, and we just want to help. My ultimate platform is for everyone to be their best self. So, because we are all unique. So for IdealMe Enrichment Foundation, we're a new foundation, and I met the founder, Dr. Eva Anchuk, 2 years ago, and I asked her, do you need help with this? I thought it was really good because it's the same message, IdealMe, being your best self. Because ultimately, it's about workshops for youth, parents, and professionals to overcome life stress and just be their best self, to build resiliency and build excellency. And so we also came out with Talk to Alex, which is an app. It has strategies for youth, right? If they can't talk to someone right at this moment, you have your phone, you have your app. And if you're feeling sad, okay, here are some strategies that can help you with that. There's some breathing techniques. You can write in a journal because it goes straight into your Gmail. Having my own personal experience of always comparing myself to others and, oh, I wish I was this, that, and not realizing my own true worth. And I think that's, education, body image, self-esteem, and then infertility all play into that message of I want people to be the best that they can be.